Welcome, everybody, to Tertulia for Authors Office Hours, our Friday at 12:30 tradition. Happy Friday, and by popular demand, we have brought back the author panel for another week of a little casual discussion with three authors who are very creative and entrepreneurial in how they promote their books, to tell us a little bit about how they're using Tertulia and just generally how they're working on getting the word out about their books and their lessons learned. Appreciate everybody dropping in the chat where they're calling from and who they are. That's always fun to see. Definitely, we want the chat blowing up during these sessions because it's a really great way for you guys to connect with each other and not just with us here at Tertulia. So definitely throw your questions in there, exchange information, and we're going to get started with the introductions to Patty, to Cullen, and to Scarlett. I'll ask each of you guys to unmute. Unmute so you can introduce yourself, just briefly say who you are, the type of books you write, and your the name of your website. Patty, why don't you take it away?
All right. Hi there. I write background in education. I was a 39-year teacher counselor. And so my books tend to be self-help and a lot about ADHD and paying for college and raising strong kids and, that kind of stuff. And my website is called cantaloonpress.com because I created a publishing company when I decided to start publishing with Ingram Spark.
Fantastic. I think we're going to have questions about the creating a publishing company part. So appreciate that. Thank you for being here. Scarlett?
Okay, I am Scarlett Ibis James. I'm very proud to be an award-winning author of literary fiction and contemporary romance. My editors would say that I create delightfully flawed, deeply human characters. They reflect my own mix of zest and introspection. I began writing fiction in 2022. I published my first three books in 2024 and 2025, and I released my fourth this June. And last year, I joined Tertulia, really seeking a space for my books to be. My author website is scarlettibisjames.com.
Thank you, Scarlett. And I will say Scarlett was one of the very first authors on using Tertulia and has been a font of helpful information and insights about the author life. So I think you're going to get a lot out of her. All righty. And Cullen, please introduce yourself.
Yeah, my name is Cullen Bunn. My website is cullenbunn.com. I have been a full-time writer for shockingly nearly 20 years now. And mainly, over those couple of decades, most of my work has been in graphic novels and comic books. I've written everything from a lot of creator-owned stuff, like The Six Gun and Harrow County and The Empty Man. And then I've worked on pretty much every comic book superhero you've ever heard of and worked with every comic book publisher at some point over the years. Last year, my first adult prose novel, a horror novel, came out from Gallery Books.
What'd you say?
And
Sorry, I was trying to do something.
I'm working
Yeah,
on the next one.
against.
If you could mute yourself if
Against.
you're not speaking to the
Yes.
Zoom meeting, that would be great. Cullen, what a career. That is incredible. Super interesting. And
Wasn't
it's really fun
unanimous.
to have somebody who has, highly visual work, kind of
Against.
different
Well,
genre, joining us today.
Well, thank you.
Thank you for that introduction. So I'm gonna, I'm gonna kick it off and actually just go right back to you, Patty, and I'm gonna ask you, what's the difference if you're on Ingram Spark, you're self-published, what's the difference between being an author with multiple books and developing your author brand versus creating a publishing company? What's the benefit of that? What was and how has that journey been for you?
Well, my journey is a little bit of a cautionary tale about Amazon. I I originally dove right into learning how to self-publish on Amazon KDP and I wanted to create multiple streams of income to supplement my retirement. And I threw a lot of money and a lot of effort into publishing. I think I have 11 books. And then one day I got a notice that my account was terminated, and I fought and tried and appealed and hired an attorney and everything else, no luck. That was devastating. And so that happened last August. So then I had to completely regroup and start over. I decided to publish through Ingram Spark, and they've been super helpful. They're very good to work with. But then once you do that, now you've got to do your own promotion. And so I I'm trying to use all the skills that I've learned about self-publishing and promotion, and and get the word out about my books, drive traffic to my website. Thank heavens, Tertulia just showed up on my Facebook one day, and I was like, oh, hallelujah. And because all of my books are out there, and I know they're being sent to thousands of bookstores and libraries and all of that across the world. I've had sales from India, from Australia, the UK, mostly from the US, um, just just from what they're doing, but that's not enough. And so thank heavens this template program is very user friendly, and Aaliyah has been a great source of help to put it over the top and make it look more professional. And so I'm super happy with it. It's a continuing work in progress because I need to do more blogging, and I've gotten some reviews on most of my books, that I learned how to do when I was with Amazon, but um, I need more. And so I started some Facebook ads and some Instagram ads, maybe a few weeks ago, and that's solely to drive traffic to this website. And people are going there, and it's doing what it's supposed to do. So I'm super happy.
I'm so glad to hear that, especially that your ads so far are going well, because that can be really hard to get started up and can be a mystery for some people, the meta machine, so to speak. We have two questions following up in the chat. David asks, was there a reason given for terminating your KDP account? And Ron just makes a comment. He thinks he's doing what you did with KDP. So maybe we can let him jump in after you answer
Okay.
that question.
Yeah. The reason that they gave me was that one of the titles of my book was too similar to another title. Now, knowing full well, if you type chair yoga exercises for women over 60, you're going to find 150 books with the exact same title. It's kind of goofy. I mean, I offered to change the title. I offered to take that book off the market. And I know that in the, like, even a year before that, they would work with people. Like, you're bound to make some beginner mistakes along the way. Publishing is a very big learning curve, as I have found. And so I think what's happening is I've been told that they kind of get on kicks. Like, this 6 months, they're going to nail people for titles and subtitles. Next 6 months, I know right now they're nailing people for using ChatGPT to help write reviews, and they're terminating people for that. And so they kind of take swings, and but there's no mercy now. I mean, and if you read their very intentionally vague yet specific terms and conditions, it says on there they can terminate your account for no reason. And so they're doing that. I think they're weeding people out. It's terrifying. And I spent a crazy amount of money trying to get all that going, and then they keep your royalties. They won't even give you your royalties.
Okay, I'm sorry you had that experience, but it sounds
Hmm.
like things are really on the upswing for you.
They
I'm just gonna,
are.
that's
They are.
awesome. And I also think it's interesting to not just, that there's a level of credibility and sort of like a brand values system you can create by becoming a publisher rather than an author. And you can see that in sort of her website here. So for any of you all considering that, especially in the nonfiction world, you might want to check her, take a closer look at her site. Ron, did you want to pipe in and talk about your experience with KDP?
Yeah, I'm a neophyte at this, so I'm just getting started. But I'm a teacher at a local college, and so I've been writing quite a bit, but mostly technical stuff. And this is the first time I've ever gotten published. I used KDP, and it was extremely easy to do. I was really surprised, mainly because I was hit with a lot of advertisements from overnight publishers. You know, the 299 guys to the $10,000 guys. So I decided to go ahead and just do it myself. I sent my manuscript out for some proofreading. I got it back, and I fixed it up a little bit, and I published it. It just was very quick. I went into KDP, answered all their questions, and next thing you know, I'm on Amazon, and I put it out there February 2nd, and I noticed that I'm up to 22 sales. I was very surprised. Yeah, there's a royalty calculator that'll calculate, what your royalties are on this thing. But again, I don't even know how that works. I don't know if you have to ask for it or you give them a bank account or how that works. But I'm still learning. So I thought maybe Patty, you could shed some light on that with your experience. But now I've got a little bit of trepidation thinking that they could cancel me at any time.
They can.
Ron,
Yeah.
are your books ebooks or print books?
What?
Ebooks, print books, or both?
Both.
Okay.
Both. I've got hard copy, paperback, and ebook, and I've mostly sold printed copies. So, matter of fact, it's exclusively printed. All paperback and hardbacks have been sold. Um, I have a penchant for nostalgia. So the book is basically originally was memoirs of my great grandfather, and I put it together into a novel called Placido, which is about a shepherd's son who was raised in northern Spain with the Basques and ended up working as a volunteer with some friends
Mhm.
and French field hospitals during World War One, and
Wonderful.
ended up going to Barcelona to medical school and becoming a good doctor. But
Wonderful. Congratulations.
Yeah.
Looks like you really transformed yourself into a writer in a pretty short period of time.
yeah, I was
So
amazed. I mean, it
congrats.
was turned out to be, I guess everybody measures their books by, I guess, number of words, 135,000. So, so it took about a year to write.
Okay. Well, maybe in terms of the Patty's warning shot on Amazon, Um, I don't, I don't really, it's hard for me as a sort of industry player. I don't want to slag on Amazon or offer information that may or may not be right. So I'll let you guys kind of develop your own discussion on that, whether that's in the chat or in the Facebook community group. But I think if anything that you can share on that, Patty, on the side would be great in terms of like, what he might want to look out for. I see there's also a few questions coming up for you, Patty, like, are you looking for new clients for Cat Cantaloon Press? So I'll let you
Cool.
answer that on your own time as well. Question to the whole panel, maybe particularly Colin. What do you think was the game changer? You said 20 years, long publishing career. I'm sure you've had other author websites before this. What was the game changer for you, or what's the one thing that made a difference for you with Tertulia so far?
Well, I don't remember how I found Tertulia. I'm guessing much like Patty, it popped up on Facebook, or I think it was Patty who said it just popped up on Facebook at some point. And I've had dozens of variations of my website. I've had everything from very basic, like WordPress sites to very expensive, highly, design sites that I've hired people to build for me. But at the end of the day, the thing that makes this site best for me is I didn't get into this business to spend all day working on a website. And what this does for me is I mean, when I first set it up, sure, an hour or two to get things up and running. I didn't have to worry about loading books up and everything else. It had all the basic elements that I needed. It's simple, it's clean, and I spend 10 minutes a day. I dedicate 10 minutes a day to this website. And that's all I want to ever have to really focus on a website because I'm a writer, not a web designer. And and I've shown this website to a lot of people who are, you know, in the know when it comes to web design. In fact, before this meeting, I sent this to some web designer friends and I said, "Tell me what you hate about the site." And everybody came back. They think it's a clean site. It's easy to navigate. They all dig it. So to me, that's all I need. I just need a site to be a showcase for me, and that's what this does.
I love that. I love the 10 minutes a day. That's
Mm.
awesome. That's such an awesome practice. And I can see from your blog, it's like you're always giving somebody something to come back to. There's always some kind of update. It's not crazy, it's not too much to process. And then your logo and your author profile, fantastic. It's like I'm just getting to know you while Elia is scrolling through this and just like the look and feel of it's awesome. Really
Yeah,
nice job.
most of my marketing comes from my website or my newsletter. I have an e-newsletter that I send out every Monday. A newsletter goes out, and that's probably where most of my heavy lifting
I'll text her
marketing
too.
is put. But I like that I can. It's not a the two that are connected to Tertulia right now. It's a Substack newsletter, but I can still this helps me get new subscribers to that and point people to that as well. I have to do a little more lifting because they don't automatically port over, but that's all right. That's a nothing at the end of the day.
Yeah. Well, to that point, for those of you who don't know, and Colin, you might be aware of it, but maybe don't know the details, Tertulia is rolling out a Tertulia Pro tier that incorporates email.
Yes.
And, I'm sure the natural question is when and how much. So just a brief note on that. The when is we are currently in beta, testing, developing, refining. Really important that we keep email reputation high to preserve deliverability of you authors who want to use it. So that's something that we're putting a lot of muscle into. And when we roll it out, it will be, slowly introducing different levels of how many people can send at once. But I can guarantee it's going to be easy and elegant, just as you said, simple. Just keep it simple. And in terms of how much, it's double the cost. So if you're on the annual plan, it would be the monthly plan would be 19.99 a month. And if it's the monthly plan, the annual plan, 15.99 a month, the equivalent of that. So more coming on that. Scarlett, could you share how much time do you spend on your site? What on, custom pages, for instance, has been something that there's been a lot of interest in. People say, how do I use the custom pages feature? Maybe you could talk about how those have been meaningful for you or any other features that have been meaningful for you to have the flexibility you want to engage your audience.
I like Cullen, maybe 5 minutes. I every day I would say that I go in maybe once a day to just look at the stats around the analytics, how many people are going there. And it's more so to understand how my marketing, which does drive people to the site, how that's going. And so I know when things are working or not go working. I would say I'm in my testing area where marketing is concerned. And related to that, many of my custom pages are not actually shown on my site, but I leverage them when I reach out. So since the beginning of the year, I think I've done 3 or 4 podcasts. And so I think, Aaliyah, if you're showing, if you went into the back of it, you'll see like I have a podcast custom page that I send to podcasters to give them a sense for the types of podcasts I do, etc. I do have the book club as well, so it has links to again, sub pages within that where there's a guide on how they can leverage my books in book clubs. which I do see people going to it. I haven't marketed it really well, but I put it here for ease of access. You also see that I do short stories as well, very much like Cullen. I do publish on Substack as well, but I do have some other types of things that people might be interested in, other stories. So it's really getting to know me a little bit. But in the back of this, I do have other things like I like being able to when people I'm being interviewed as well for some magazines, different things like that. And so it's a great place to send people to my website, but specialized pages where they get the information that they need about me, including information on just my background, different things that they can ask me, different things like that. So I really like that ability of Tertulia that I can put more into it than what even may be seen on the surface and leverage it to to communicate with folks. Yeah?
Yeah, Scarlett, I think that you are the power user of custom pages.
Is
I
that
mean,
right?
I just want to underline for you what she just said. For those of you who haven't used custom pages yet, she's using them here, as you can see from Ilea sharing her book, her website that she has her book club discussion questions, her short stories, and that's great. But behind the scenes, she's hosting pages for particular segments. So when she's engaging with a podcast to go on, she might share where she's other podcasts she's been on or what her arrangement is. And if she's engaging with media for interviews or events, maybe she has a media kit and she can just share that one page that's not connected to her main navigation. So you have the flexibility to do that in custom pages.
Hmm.
And Scarlett's really making the most of that. So it's really her home base. And as y'all know, I've said this before, we want this tool to be so powerful as your home base that you don't have to go out and have a lot of other subscriptions or keep track of a lot of docs. And I think Scarlett's really just already doing that, which is awesome.
I want to address Nancy. Thank you for that comment on my covers. Yes, I love my covers, and very much like Patty, it's been a journey. Um, and I think that for me, I did start as well, like Patty, on KDP. I expanded to Ingram Spark because I wanted to go wider. I found that there are lots of bookshops that will not order from Amazon. And so that when it became clear to me, I expanded. I love working with both of them. I also do draft to digital to do, and I'm looking forward, actually, Linda, to be able to also sell directly from the site. So I'm looking forward to leveraging that. But I think that book covers are so important. I've changed mine. So there's Scarlet Yearnings that's right now there. That's my second book cover. I did initially do it right out of KDP, but then I engaged, um, I used AI at the beginning, but then I engaged actual humans to do all the others. The only exception is Love in the Dark, but I think that it really makes a difference, especially with influencers. And in my age right now of experimenting, I'm doing a lot with Instagram influencers and different things like that. But Beyond First Glance is my next one. I just got that cover, so I'm excited about it.
Can you t gorgeous covers. Can you tell us a little more about what you're doing with influencers?
So, yes, so prior to even publishing, I followed a lot of bookstagrammers and book talkers. And there were some that I follow avidly. Like I love the way that they treat their reviews of books, etc. And so when I was publishing, especially my second book, Scarlet Birthright, I reached out to them and I asked, "Will you, if I send you a book, will you, consider reviewing it?" And I was nervous because because they will give you an honest review. Um, and I do pay for some, and for some I just send. They're good with just getting the book. The one that I sent my first one to is actually based in London. And he always makes a big deal about the covers. So I was so proud of my second one. And I said, let me send it to him. And he loved it, by the way. But recently, I started doing a little bit more. There's a company called Meet Cali. And I heard about it through another set of authors that I follow. And there is a marketplace of influencers that you can choose from. You can gift them dollars or you can gift them books. I tend to do books where I would send it to them, or ebooks. You can do that too. And then and I like it because it's contractual. It's like it's specified. They give you the ad codes, so that when they publish, you can also use it to do your marketing. So I'm experimenting. I've had mixed results. Some of the influencers are really good because I have a very special type of book that I publish, and so it's usually for older people. So it's not a young. So I've been finding my way through that and learning, but that's how I'm using it, Linda.
Thank you. I think I might be your target reader. I loved your deliciously flawed characters. I love that. It's like you were in the salon discussion the other night. Sometimes those negative feelings are what make life so interesting. So
Indeed,
very
indeed.
cool. I mean, we've got tons of questions in the chat. One of them from Shelley is, how do you drive people to your website? Well, Scarlett experiments. She's doing influencer stuff.
Yes.
She's doing events. I saw on her site. Colin is dedicated to doing that 10 minutes a day. I saw a blog post, I think almost every day on his site. I saw you must get invited to a lot of events. I mean, you've got all these micro communities from the different franchises you've worked on. Patty, how about you? How are you driving people to your site? I think you said advertising, but like if you
Mhm.
had to say which sources are working the best, what would you say they are?
Well, I also must say I love the analytics piece on Tertulia because I look at that multiple times a day, and it shows the source of where all the traffic is coming from. And as of right now, of course, I just started those Facebook, Instagram ads maybe 2 weeks ago. So, I mean, it's very fresh. But some of it says like from social media. I'm assuming that's from those ads. A lot of it is just people, I think, just happening across it. I don't know. But I it's also optimized with Google, and you guys did that for me, thank heavens, because I couldn't figure it out. And also in the front and back of all of my books, I put a, a QR code to request a review on Amazon. And also, I'm also putting check out my website for more compassionate books that meet you where you are. And so then the readers will have that website when they buy the book. Um, and I'm open for any other ideas anybody else has to drive traffic. I'm looking for that.
Thank you for that. I'm just checking the chat to see what people have to say about this. Yeah, I mean, all three of you have like very different sort of niches. And I mean, what I've heard, I'll just say if anybody else wants to pipe in, what I've heard is in real life, offline events are actually like really quite meaningful and actually do make a difference. So, Scarlett, I see like you go to book fairs, Colin, I'm sure there's all kinds of Comic-Con spin-offs, all kinds of things. Do you build up your list very much at offline events, or is that meaningful for you, Colin?
Yeah, I I probably slowed down on comic conventions and those kind of things in recent years, but this year I'm building it back up. So I'm going to a lot of events again this year. And yeah, there are a lot. I feel like I've been doing this for a long time, but there are still a lot of people who come up to me at these conventions and have never heard of me. And that's I like when people come up and bring me a stack of comic books to sign, but I like when people come up and say, "Tell me who you are," because I've
Hmm.
never heard of you before, because I'll turn them into a customer every time. And so yeah, I use these events to I have I thought I had some. I have like little postcards that have a short story on it on one side, like a real short story, like 100 words, and then on the back is all my socials. And I pass those out. I sign and number them. I pass them out to everybody. So every convention season, it's a new card. in theory. This year, because I started a nonprofit that is very horror and science fiction and fantasy focused, I'm giving comic books to everybody who free comics to everybody who comes up to me at a convention, and it has all my all the socials and websites and everything in that as well, so they can just um, hop right onto the website. And having done this for so many years, I have so many boxes of comic books to give away. I've got to get rid of them at this point.
Free stuff is helpful,
Yeah.
always. It's
So,
one truism in life.
I
so
want
yeah,
to
it's
share that the live events are so motivating. I love, like as an author, like I didn't know until last year I partnered with two bookshops to have in-store events. And I did a fair last year as well here in New York City. And it is so fantastic to meet people and to share, and I love that idea, Cullen, of the card. I love that. But I would advise that even if you're an introvert and because many authors are, there's just something about just talking about your book because you birthed this thing that makes it, I think, easier to interact with people. But I love it. Where I build my mailing list is through Substack and also through the Facebook and Instagram ads. And I'm going to do a lot more of those where I'm driving people to like reader magnets where I capture their email addresses. Um, and so, yeah, just a shameless plug, Linda, for that idea of, a pop-up where people can join a mailing list right away. I think that's the only thing that I would say is missing for me. Like I put my
100%.
join my mailing list higher on the page, but I feel like if I'm able to do that or send people directly to sign up, it would make it much, much easier.
1000%. Yeah,
Yeah.
no, it's painfully clear that we need to do that ASAP. No, but it's good to underscore. Thank you. Patty had asked in the chat herself, does anyone have ideas to sell children's books? I don't know about offline events for those. Librarians, of course, are your friend. And I think Ingram Spark does do some types of contests and submissions where you can get in front of librarians. So that might be worth looking into. If anybody else has thoughts in the chat, by all
I've
means.
got to tell you, I feel like the book fairs they get a lot of, especially in the summertime, and maybe it's a New York thing, but in the summertime, you can look up what fairs are coming up and then apply to be with them. Just note to self what I learned the hard way is get insurance for those events. The insurance is not very much, but if you have an outdoor event and it rains, which has happened to me. But the people coming through almost always have their kids on a weekend. And if the kids see the books, that's it. With the display, that's
Well,
it.
absolutely. I mean, Brooklyn Book Festival, I'd say where I live is very, very kid centric. I mean, there's tons, and I brought my kids. That's kind of the whole reason I went to it. The tricky thing is being able to be at a table. Like, how do you glom on to somebody if you're self-published? So I think that probably takes a bit of research to figure out how you can get a presence there. Probably each one's a little different.
But
Uh,
I would also don't overlook those smaller shows too, because I mean, especially for folks just starting out or just trying to get a foot in the door with an audience, there are a lot of small conventions. I mean, I don't know a weekend that doesn't pass that there's not a convention going on. So I would look at those small ones too because they can, and not honestly, not just setting up. Uh, I think I have a young writer that I work with, and I saw him at a big convention. He didn't have a table, but I told him he's getting ready to start setting up at a table. I said, go to every author here and ask them, what's your book about? Because you'll hear them do their sales pitch for those books. And that is a skill you have to master, is being able to pitch your book in 2 sentences.
That's golden, Colin. I appreciate that. And I mean, it's sort of just another way of saying networking, right? It's
Hmm.
like you gotta just, even if you don't have a table or you're just starting out, you learn by osmosis, just being around these authors. They were you once starting out. And I think that's crucial, as well. Yeah, that's a great point. Just turning here to the chat. Patty, somebody in the chat suggests doctor's offices. I guess in general, like public placement in your local community, your local library seems great. Good call, Scarlett, on the insurance. A few people are piping in about that, like they might actually require you to do it. Makes a ton of sense. Another person gives a plug for local authors at the library. I mean, I feel like library should be your first stop. I mean, that's just like a no-brainer. David asks, is Ingram Spark as easy to set up as KDP? Anybody want to take this one?
I think it is.
Yeah, I thought it was, I heard a lot of apprehension from folks, but I did not have any challenges with Ingram Spark. But I looked at a lot of videos on YouTube about how to and the steps, and I just followed one of the videos, and because I wanted to do it on both, so I wanted to do both KDP and Ingram Spark, and there's an order to how you do it, and so I used one of the videos that had a lot of views and comments to do it. I thought it was very easy, very easy.
I found that the requirements for your files are different between KDP and Ingram Spark. So all of my things were done for KDP, and then I had to pay my editor and my cover designer to redo all of those files for Ingram Spark. So now I am all about Ingram Spark, and I'm not gonna get my files set up for Amazon anymore because I don't think they'll ever let me back on there. And incidentally, all of my books are on Amazon. You can look them up, but I can't control anything on there.
Yeah,
Ingram Spark put them on there.
right.
And so I can't run ads or I can't put A plus content on there. So, and I looked up my best-selling book right now is at the top of page 2 for moms with ADHD. I don't even know how it happened, but it's nothing I can control.
Congrats. By the
I know,
way,
right?
I'm also your target ADHD mom right here. I'm on it.
Love it.
Congratulations. That's
Thanks.
amazing. That's really great. Okay, so I mean, in Patty's case, it's like Amazon's the distributor. Fine, of course. You want to sell something, it has to be on Amazon, but no longer the platform and the publisher. And that seems like that's working out well for you. Okay, so it sounds like the verdict is Ingram Spark is just as easy. You might need some video tutorials. That's been my experience as well. Question from Bruce. Will Tertulia Pro replace Substack to distribute a newsletter and collect emails? Okay, I'll take a stab at this and then maybe I'll turn it to you, Colin, because you're a Substack user and you can, and Scarlett, I guess you are too. Patty, are you on Substack? No. Okay. So it could. It could replace it if your goal is to blog regularly, send out email regularly, maintain your address, and do so cheaply without any fees, right? Because you already have the Tertulia subscription. You might be selling books. You're already like making back the additional cost of the subscription. You might be doing marketing to the traditional retailers. So you just want to centralize and make things easier. That could replace Substack. Perhaps the reason to not replace it is if you tend to really engage with a lot of other Substackers using their notes feature, recommending other people, etc. So I would say, or their live feature. Would you add anything to that, Colin, or anything you want to share about why you stay at Substack or why you might in the future?
Yeah, so I mean, my eyebrows definitely went up when I looked up the Tertulia Pro email function, uh, maybe in the last few days. And I watched the previous video that you posted about it. I think it could definitely replace it. Um, the other thing that I would say is if you use I don't currently use Substack for this, but some people have paid content on their Substack so that you have to pay $5 a month or $10 a month to get whatever additional content you have. And that might be a reason not to. And for me, I know that Tertulia is going to kind of do the slow rollout subscription wise. So You've got, I think a limit on the number of subscribers. That will slow me down from doing it because I have a lot of subscribers right now. But that doesn't mean I won't consider it when the time comes. I mean,
That's awesome. Yeah, Colin, of course. I totally left out the obvious, which is paid content behind the paywall and Substack, of course. And we're going to develop that.
okay, well, see there. So the answer is yes.
It's not, as if this was serving more other creators or journalists, it would be a higher, we're serving authors with the unit of the book first.
Mhm.
And so our biggest priorities are around that roadmap, which is selling books, promoting books. But we know that that is important. I mean, we're living in a world of sort of gated content, and but that's a really great point. If it's something where, Scarlett, do you have a paid tier on Substack? Is that an important
I
thing for you?
did, but I took it off. I took it off. So I recently this year went back to just having it open. But the answer to your question, um, I think that I have to give some thought to how I would use the email platform on Tertulia because I engage in Substack. So Substack to me is not just a place to send the newsletters. I actually don't, I send a newsletter like once a month, but I use their notes feature a lot and I interact with a lot of people. And I don't know, so I have to test it out first, right? But what I like about Substack when I do, so when I was promoting my book last December, I was able to segment my audience by their level of interaction very easily and send targeted notes to the people who tend to open my stuff versus the people who don't. And so I don't know, and nor do I. So let me just be clear. The thing that you sold me on, Linda, I don't think you even know this, but what's you sold me on for Tertulia at the very beginning is I was using Wix. And Wix is like this behemoth. It's like this big thing that does everything. And you said to me, Tertulia is a place for your books, to present your books. And and that simplicity is why I came. And so I'm not necessarily um, I'm not necessarily looking for it to be everything. I like Substack. I like perhaps putting both. I might have to sync the distributions because it's like 500 or something on Substack, a little bit over. I know you probably have more color, but that's a lot for me. But I think I just want to say that. I didn't so that's not a marketing for you, but I love that it's simply my books.
I love it.
The fact that I
Yeah.
can sell, I like. Okay, I but I do tend to test and learn, so we'll see, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's like, yes, you're kind of, you, I'll just jump on that sound bite. It is the place for books. The whole idea is this is for authors and nothing like this is out there and authors deserve it. And I think the fact that we also have this bookstore, we know about book marketing and merchandising, but most of all, we have the metadata is really the differentiator for those of you on the call who are just in your trial or you haven't even tried Tertulia yet. What I'm trying to say here and what Scarlett said well is that this is a website builder specifically made for authors. Everything on our roadmap goes back to that and should be made easier for that. And that sign up, of course, anybody who's collecting sign up should have a pop up. There's some things that are kind of general best practices in marketing that we're, of course, also adopting. But I think thinking about, authors, readers, and books as the constellation is the whole point. Steve asks, isn't Tertulia also good for authors who are seeking or using an agent? Everything seems to be focused on self-publishing. No, yeah. I mean, I'm not sure if this answers your question, Steve, and you can pipe in up if you'd like to. But we have plenty of authors who are not self-published as well.
I'm not.
So, yeah, you're not at all, right? Do you have
No.
any self-published books? Yeah.
I'm a partner in a publishing company that does some small books for mine that I guess we could consider self-published, but the vast majority of my books are not self-published.
Yeah, we've got small publishers, we've got the big five, we've got academic publishers, all kinds of different publishers represented through our authors. We also have partnerships with hybrid publishers, business publishers, small publishers who are sort of like, God bless them, trying to help their authors in a way that many authors in the traditional publishing world complain about, that they don't have the resources to set up a website or market their books. So they don't know the best practices. So we work with them in a partnership. So yeah, so it's really for any author. And it's honestly, we have authors that don't have a book yet and they are querying. And we have authors with 100 plus books. So it's really meant to be flexible. Steve said he set up Tertulia on the recommendation of an agent who said you need a website to get an agent. Yeah, I agree with that. This minute that you know that you are going to publish a book, or you plan to, you should have your website up. And when you go to these conferences and you're querying, you have somebody where to send somebody and they know about the essence of you as a writer and how you're presenting yourself and that you are committed to engaging with readers. I mean, that's it, right? Like even if you sniff at the whole, oh, I have to cultivate my personal brand, of course that is an issue, right? And you do have to think about that. What about just that connection with your readers? I mean, your website is where you own it. You own that audience. So we're really committed in this Tertulia Pro of taking that a step further, that independent kind of promotion. Daniel asks, do we have access to recordings of these Zooms so we can go back afterwards? Yes, we have been posting them on YouTube. When I send this one out, I will give a link to all of them. Anything from the panel that you found surprising that worked for you? We might have already covered this, but anything you want to share that was like a discovery or something new that really worked for you in developing your author profile or selling your books? Anything we haven't covered here?
I mean, I think we've covered it, but Scarlett said it too. Podcasts, I got to tell you, uh, I've seen people comment and say, wow, Cullen Bunn will do just about any podcast, won't he? Because I'll do these little ones. I'm like, yeah, I sure will. I'll do just about any podcast. And I think if you find podcasts that are in your niche in your genre, absolutely, they can be your best friends and can I don't, if it sells one book for me, I'll do a podcast because again, if they read one, if I have faith in my own work, if they read one, they're going to read another one. So I would definitely don't overlook podcasts ever. I mean, they have been my best friends since I started working in as a professional writer for sure.
Oh, Colin, this is an author here who appreciates his readers so much. I love that, that you're willing to do that. And it's hard work to keep
Yeah.
hustling like that. But the more you do it, the more you get used to it. Podcasts beget other podcasts.
When my
Um,
son was very little, I used to say, "Well, I got to go downstairs and do an interview," and he was very concerned. He asked his mom, "Why is Dad doing so many interviews? Is he losing his job?"
that's quite the contrary. Oh,
Can I
that's
pop
funny.
in for a second?
Please.
No, I think doing the podcast is great because it increases your authority factor and and a lot of social proof and yeah, it makes you a lot more legit, I think. I haven't done any yet. I need to do some.
Yeah, that industrial complex of parenting podcast is calling for you, Patty.
Yeah.
Yes, I think that I put there on the chat, Patty, that you should, because I feel there's more opportunity for podcasts for nonfiction than fiction, is
Yeah.
my experience. Um, I have to check the name of the site that got me started with podcasts. But what I've found honestly is I use ChatGPT and I say, okay, consider me as an author, which podcast do you recommend? And what's interesting is that it does spit back out podcasts that I then pitch to. And I send them the link to Tertulia. I tell them why it would be great. And that has actually put me in touch with folks. And I think engagement, I just want to emphasize that what I have found is engagement. So like Colin, I go on any so you want me? I will be on your podcast. Um, But it's interesting because I think the more you do that, the more exposure you get. You never know who is listening. And then now I have people reaching out to me to go on their podcast. And the other place for podcasts, honestly, is Substack as well as Instagram. And it's so the last two are people from Instagram that reached out to me and asked me if I wanted, and they have Instagram and YouTube, podcasts. And so it's very interesting. I think we're in such a beautiful time to be a writer because there's just so many opportunities available to us to get out and to spread about, what we're doing.
I love that positive answer. Somebody posted in the chat something I was going to say the same thing. Podmatch is a great resource too, where you can find, it's a supply demand kind of marketplace for guests and podcasts. That's great. We had a few comments here. Thank you, Lanning. He said that Tertulia is the easiest and fastest way to get up and running quickly because he has had many different websites. And I think he also asked, does anybody have experience with Books By? Anybody on the panel or in the audience? No?
I've seen their YouTube videos, but I've seen people comment on their YouTube, but I haven't tried it yet.
I read somewhere that it's better to have only one stream of income. Pick one and go with it. That's what I read. And I know how much work it was to set up an Amazon, and now I know how much work it has been to set up on Ingram Spark. I'm really not looking to go with a third one at this point.
Yeah, somebody else made a comment in here too, not so much about like one income, although that is much easier to manage, but just multiple communication platforms, and thus the question about Substack. And of course, the timing has to be right for you. Go ahead, Scarlett.
I had a question for Patty. So what I have not tried on Ingram is their ebooks. So I use Draft to Digital for my ebook distribution. Have you published your ebooks on Ingram, and what do you find the experience to be like?
I had my editor convert my Microsoft Word to an EPUB, and then it was very simple to publish from there on my Ingram. So it's all right there. What I am missing is my Audible, because before I was terminated on Amazon, I had packages with ebook and Audible, and people loved it. It took off like crazy. They don't have that on Ingram Spark, so I'm still working on figuring that piece out.
You can
Also
But
probably
on our
do it through
roadmap, Patty.
Tertulia.
say that again.
Do it through Tertulia.
Yeah, that's on our roadmap to actually do the
Mhm.
production on the audio, but you can also go with Pro and sell it, and that I think could work really well.
That's definitely what I want to do. Now, I don't know. It was so easy on Amazon to just magically Alakazam have an Audible book. I haven't looked into how to get that done on any other way.
We can connect. I think
Okay.
I see a specific topic, audiobooks as office hours spin-off. I think we should have a whole talk about that.
Yes, let's do, please.
Yeah. And I'll try to identify some of the authors who are having success with audiobooks to come back and speak on that panel because I've been hearing that
Okay. Yeah,
murmurings.
just Scarlett, you were asking how that's been going. I don't think I've sold any on Ingram Spark yet. I'm selling paperback and hardback, not
Mm.
EPUB. So we'll see.
Okay, thank you.
Daniel asked in the chat, is there a way to set up a website to allow people to financially support me if they desire to contribute? If I'm understanding the question right, it's sort of like, is there a Kickstarter element or buy me a coffee link, etc. We don't offer that type of, functionality, but many, Lee, I don't know if you can think of any we could share,
Mhm.
but I can't off the top of my head, but I've definitely seen people use banners on the homepage,
Yeah.
often the text only banner, or maybe like a little image, not a big books banner, just a little one, and say, support me. And I wish I had some feedback on how that's going for them, but it's definitely an elegant way to do it.
Yeah. I've seen a few of those.
So
Could
that's
you
that's
use a
probably the
custom page to do that? If you had a
you
link
could.
to something?
Yeah, absolutely. And the people that have nonprofits or, organizations that they kind of want to like point people from a homepage banner to a landing page have done that kind of thing too. Kind of unpacked more information on a custom page. All right, I think we're at the top of our hour, my friends. Janine says she'd love an office hour session on audiobooks. Bruce is saying you need Ingram if you want to be in local bookstores and libraries. Thank you for that. Lots of good stuff in here in the chat. Thank you. Google Play will make you a audiobook for free. That is one option. There is a lot of cheap or free ways to make audiobooks these days.
I have a resource, Linda, that offered to do it for me for far less expense than KDP. KDP is a ripoff for the audio books,
Okay, that's great feedback. Yep. Yep.
So I got somebody that's willing to do it for $25 an hour, and he owns his own studio.
Fabulous.
Nice. Yeah. Oh, that's great. I mean, it's so democratized, this technology now. So, yeah, I think, we asked for feedback in the Facebook community group and after the last session via email. And people, as much as they may show up here to troubleshoot or say, how can I get my banner or my logo to look better? I think where the value's really been at, it's emerging that people want these more deeper dives into some topics like audiobooks. So that's definitely something we're going to explore. And, feel free, you can always reach us at authors@tertulia.com to suggest what you think programming would be helpful for all of you in the Tertulia for Authors community. Would love that feedback anytime. For now, thank you, Patty. Thank you, Cullen. Thank you, Scarlett. Super cool talking to you and hearing your insights. I appreciate you taking time on a Friday, and I know how much the authors appreciated it.
Thank you so much. I appreciated it too.
Take care. You have an awesome weekend and
Thank
hope to
you.
see you back here. Thanks a
Thank
lot.
you. Have a nice weekend.
Thanks, everybody.